we talk about a lot of stuff when we stream on Twitch. By the way, I stream on Twitch. Come follow me on Twitch. Come check the description of the Twitch to see the schedule. We talk about a lot of stuff, but a topic that's quite interesting to me is the terms of service for the TOS. Obviously, I've played the game for a long time, so over the past few years of like playing Maple and all that stuff, I've seen people get banned, and every time they bring up like a Reddit post or like they go on the MapleStory Discord, and they use all these kind of smoke screens to like claim innocence and stuff like that. So I decided to ask a game master, a GM, about some of the common defenses that people use, and if they are actually bannable or not. So yeah, if you've played Maple for a long time or ever interacted with Nexon in a support capacity, you'll understand the method I used to contact the GM in this case, based on the screenshots of the text that I'll show you. However, one, I'm not going to tell you the method I used in Word, because I don't want people to abuse this system. And two, I'm not going to name the GM that replied to me, because I don't know if I'm allowed to name the GMs. So yeah, keep that in mind. Also, if you break TOS, regardless of what you do, you will be banned. Even if you claim one of these as a valid defense or response, if you hack, if you aimbot, if you macro, if you keyweight, if you buy service, if you pilot for other people, because account sharing is not legal, whatever, you will be banned, and it will be deserved. So keep that in mind. Question 1. Is playing with a controller bannable? I've heard like many stories of this being bannable over the past few years, but I personally didn't believe it. So I asked the GM, especially whether there's software like there's like literally, because I play on Steam, you can literally use the Steam controller like big picture settings to set up the controller to play on Maple. So I always thought this whole like controller being bannable was a bit of a thing. So the response that I received was, it is safe to use a non-standard device to play Nexon games, as long as the device does not provide tactical advantages beyond a standard mouse and keyboard. Please be aware that the use of hardware or software that automate gameplay is strictly prohibited and may result in account penalties. So what does this mean? From my understanding of the comment, it's safe to say, and safe to play with a controller, as I assumed. You might be wondering what a non-standard device is, based on like the comment from the GM. This can range from anything like from a controller to like a Steam Deck. As an example, like Steam Decks are like quite popular. They're like portable devices. A dance pad, or like foot pedals, things like that. Disability aid apparatus, like other things like eye trackers or like soft input pads, to sort of help with that, so on and so forth. Right? You're allowed to play with these things. If it's not a keyboard or mouse, it's non-standard, basically. One of the easiest ways to set up and play via controller is through Steam. Because Steam has the Steam Big Picture mode, which is all oriented around using controller, and it's cooked into Steam. There's also like key setting, like a menu in the game itself, where you can like pick the options of what key does what, and then assign that to like your controller, and then easily set it up. It's very, very simple to do, and this is one of the main reasons why I never thought it was bannable, because it's literally in the game. Like, why would it be in the game if it's bannable, right? It makes no sense. The second part of this answer is referring to software and hardware like manipulation. So think of something like key weighting, like putting something on your keyboard, so like hardware manipulation, and then walking away from your PC. This is key weighting. This is against TOS. And then the software is obviously like hacks, macros, so like scripts to run code and play the game for you, and bot and do all of this. Obviously, all of that is bannable. And against the terms of service set out by Nexon, and I would advise against doing that. Smiley face. My second question, and this one was like very interesting to me because it's quite like a recent addition, but is being AFK in an instance map with monsters a bannable offense? Because me as a Dawn Warrior, I have a move called Solar Eclipse, and this is a big 40-second full map FMA attack, a full map attack, which kills every monster on the screen. So what I do is I usually press that button and I just walk away from my computer and I go to the toilet, or I go out to the door to the postman, or I go like see the dog, let her outside for a bit, right? And with instance maps like being a thing, many people have been like concerned that whether this is like a bannable, you're hostaging a map, will you get white roomed by an admin, where an admin comes and takes you to prison and asks you questions during that, right? And I've been doing this for like over a year, playing my Dawn Warrior. And I've never been white roomed, so I think it's fine, but I asked the GM regardless just to get some clarification. And the response I received was, being AFK or using certain skills would not cause your account to be banned or pulled into a white room. While we aren't able to provide reasons as to why you would be pulled into a white room, as long as you are active, you should be okay to continue playing. So from that, we can summarize that what I've been doing for the past like year of just pressing my AFK button, aka Soul Eclipse, is fine. And being AFK in an instance map is fine, based on this. Now you might wonder why they can't clarify information about white rooming, and this makes perfect sense because if I was able to get information about white rooming, I can then reverse engineer what the criteria are that they set and how to avoid them. So they'll never give information on what will trigger a white room or what will put your account under suspicion for suspected action. But it makes perfect sense, and I'm very satisfied with that answer. But to summarize again, I can be AFK in like Beach Free and not care. So I can, and I do it plenty of times on stream, I just press like Soul Eclipse, and then I put down like my summons, and then I just go make a cup of tea, right? And then if I come back and an AFK mob has killed me, like GG. But I've always got them safety charms, dude, on tap. My next question was, and this is a very hot topic, especially with what's happening in Korean MapleStory, is using a VPN. Because I know I have a lot of friends from Southeast Asia. I have a lot of like Malay and like Singaporean friends. And a few of them play in Luna and they play in Solus. So I've always been kind of interested into what Nexon's take on VPN is. So my question was, is using a VPN a bannable offense? If someone was to travel to a different country and use a VPN, to example, and then play from said country, is this bannable? What if you are playing from outside of the GMS range, example given Southeast Asia, and use a VPN to play in global MapleStory? Is that allowed? That was my question. And the answer I was given is quite lengthy. So, VPNs, virtual private networks, are not explicitly disallowed, which I read this and I was surprised at first. Though using it is an attempt to break our terms of use, can result in a permanent ban. We suggest refraining from using VPN to play our games if possible. Using a VPN may lead to the following consequences of NX-related purchase issues, unable to assist with item recovery, unable to remove item guards on request, and then they also give this piece from the actual code of conduct, so the COC, the code of conduct, and this is just an expert basically explaining you will use services in any manner that is Nexon's sole discretion, is unlawful, or could damage, disable, overburden, or impair the services or interfere. Basically, I'll leave this on the screen. If you want to read this bit, read it. But to summarize on the VPN, it's kind of a gray area, and it's a shame we can't really get more clarification, because there is valid uses to VPNs in regards to like ping reduction. Examples of this being like exit lag. I don't know if exit lag itself is fully considered a VPN, but I have a lot of European friends that play in Kronos or like American MapleStory, but just because the server existed first, and they get horrendously high ping to North America. They'll get like 200, like 300. So they'll use softwares like What the Fast, exit lag, stuff like that to reduce their ping. Down from 200 to like 50 is things like that. Like for me, because I play in Europe, I'm a European. Viva la Europea. Like I get like 10 ping, so I've never had to use any of these. But I understand why people do. And it's a valid thing, but there are issues with it. And the other aspect is, especially now with the region like lockdown on certain countries, there's a list on the Nexon website of what countries are allowed to play in what area. And for example, if you are in a Southeast Asian country and you're playing on GMS, technically you're not supposed to be playing here. And I've seen many like ban waves in the past, where Nexon, the very high profile ones are when Nexon bans all of the Chinese players who are meant to be playing in Chinese MapleStory or CMS. But recently, at the start of this year, like end of last year, start of this year, there was a ban wave of C players, so Southeast Asian players. One of which was in a Calling party and Solus, which is kind of smooch. But there has definitely been a crackdown recently on this sort of like region locking, and the reason I think this is, and this is going to sound like very tinfoil hat, but if you follow MapleStory news, the Korean MapleStory have made a lot of very big changes to Reboot, some of which are very bad. So in my opinion, they may be locking up all of these Legion? Too much MapleStory. All of these region boundaries to limit players from other servers playing on, like, GMS Reboot, because I have a suspicion that GMS Reboot may be, hopefully, a much better play experience in the future. So they want to limit the players to be playing where they should do, purely for financial reasons, right? It makes a lot of sense. But yeah, that is some of the questions that I asked for to the GM. If there is any other bits and bobs that you would be interested in asking a GM, please let me know in the comments, and I'll see if I can chat to some of the other, like, more high profile ones after this video has come out. I know a couple on the MapleStory Discord. I'm not in the MapleStory Discord because of all the, like, solar, the drama and stuff. I just don't want to join back. But I know of a few ways to contact a few GMs. So if you do have some more interesting questions that you would want to ask a GM, let me know in the comments and we'll see what we can do. But yeah, peace, thanks, and enjoy the rest of your day. Bye bye.